right, today we are going to talk about particles. We're going to talk about the smallest particles that make up all of the things in our universe. And we're talking about atoms. Atoms make up all the things in our universe. We are going to create a model of an atom, and we're going to talk about how we can create that model and what different parts go into creating a model of an atom. And to do that, we have to talk about what are the parts of an atom. So the different parts of an atom are what we call subatomic particles. Can you say that with me? Subatomic particles. So we have over here different marbles that we are going to use to represent in our model the different subatomic particles. So we will talk about those first before we make our model. So we have in the center is our nucleus. At the center of an atom is the nucleus, and we have all of these rings going around, and those are called our electron shells. And they're called electron shells because this is where our electrons are orbiting the nucleus. For our electrons, we are using a red marble because electrons have a negative charge. So we're using red. Electrons are negative. The next that we have are protons. We're using a blue marble for the protons, and protons have a positive charge. And you can remember that because they both start with a P. Proton, positive. Protons are in the nucleus. They hang out in the nucleus, and they are in the nucleus with neutrons. We're using a clear marble for our neutrons because neutrons have a neutral charge. They're not positive and they're not negative. So we have protons and neutrons in the nucleus and electrons arranged on the electron shells. And when you make a diagram of an atom, that is called a Bohr diagram. And we do this because the atoms that make up all of the elements, they all have a different structure. They have a different amount of protons, neutrons, and electrons. And that is what we can show when we make a diagram. We show the different structures of each atom. So to figure out the structure of an atom, we look at our periodic table of elements, which we have one printed over here, and you can also find in our book of the elements. There's a large periodic table in here. This book also explains to us how we can read the periodic table to create a diagram of an atom. Because, like I said, they're all structured differently. So, on the periodic table, there's a little number at the top of the symbol, the letters that stand for each element. There's a number above it, and that is the atomic number. The atomic number tells us how many protons are in the nucleus. And then there's a number below the symbol and that is our atomic mass number, or atomic weight. And that number is the amount of electrons and neutrons added together. So if you split that number in half, then you get the amount of electrons and the amount of neutrons. So we're going to try it out. We are going to make a Bohr diagram of an atom that is really important to all life on Earth and very abundant in our universe. We are going to make a diagram of an oxygen atom. So we can look on the periodic table and we see the atomic mass number is 16. So that means we have to split that in half to figure out how many electrons we need. We're going to start with electrons on our electron shells. So what is 16 split in half? Yes, it's 8. So we need 8 electrons. I'm going to count out 8. Okay, I have 8 electrons. We're going to move this aside for a second while we put them on the electron shells. And when we put them down, we try to keep them even. So I'm going to arrange them so that it is even and fair and symmetrical. Okay, we can put our nucleus back. We have 8 electrons on our electron shells. So that means that we need 8 neutrons in the nucleus. So I'm going to take out 8 neutrons. And I'm going to put them in the nucleus. And then our atomic number is also 8. So that means we need 8 protons in the nucleus. I'm going to put 8 protons in the nucleus. And this is our model of an oxygen atom. We have our electrons on the electron shells. There are 8. And then we have protons and neutrons in the nucleus. And there are 8 protons and 8 neutrons. This is what one oxygen atom is structured as. This is how the subatomic particles in an oxygen atom are structured. For your follow-up work for this, I would like you to take our Bohr diagram that I have printed, and I want us to draw the diagram that we created, or the model that we created with the marbles, and I want you to draw that on paper, and you're going to write on the side the number of electrons, the number of protons, and the number of neutrons, and you're going to write the name of the atom that you are drawing, which is oxygen. So I want you to draw this one, and I want you to pick 2 other elements from the periodic table and draw a Bohr diagram of an atom for those 2 other elements. And you're going to also write the number of protons, electrons, and neutrons, and the name of the atom you are drawing. I have an example of some that I have made. So your work will look something like this. I'm asking you to only do 3, the one that we made, oxygen, and then 2 more of your choice. I have 4 on here. If you want to do more, you are absolutely welcome to. But this is something like how your work should look at the end.